this tutorial is about an iris type closing mechanism. It's quite cunning. I've got it from this book, Brer Rabbit pop-up book, Paper Engineering by Vic Dupper-White. So as you pull the tab, the iris opens and close it. It is a very cunning mechanism. It employs purely the hubs and pivots type mechanism, which is tutorial 27. And while I'm at it, I want to show you this other one, which is kind of related. This is The Legend of King Arthur and the Round Table. And this is by Paper Engineering, Vic Dupper-White and Damien Johnston. And so this is the spread. And so it's this little piece up here. When you pull it, you get these two actions. Superficially, it looks the same, but actually there are two different mechanisms. So I'll start with the Brer Rabbit one. And so that is like this. This is my version. So when you pull it, you see the iris closes. I haven't quite got the measurements right. I had so much trouble getting this working at all that it doesn't quite close in the center, but still works pretty well. Here is how it works. You have this triangular piece moving these three pieces like this, that each one slides round. I was making these with hub pieces, and so I'd have one hub that's holding this blue piece in place, and I'd have another hub holding the yellow pieces in place, and it just didn't work. And so then I realized, actually, these are the yellow pieces. There's three of those. The hubs are built into them, so in each one you'll have one pair of these little wings that come up, or rather in this case these go down through the base page and push those down, and these ones come up through the blue piece. These ones going down attach it to the page, and so the things swing like that, and then these come up through the blue piece, which as you pull the strip it makes it swing round like that. So these pieces, it's 2.5 centimeters between the points of these hubs. So I don't quite know how to explain the shape of these, so I thought the best idea I could come up with was make this 1 centimeter grid, and then if I hold it on there and you pause the video, you might be able to copy the shape for yourself. So that's the best I could do, really. The blue piece, the full length from one end to the other is 23 centimeters. The gap between the center points of these holes, I've only cut out one. I'll just cut out the other two. So the distance between these holes is 14.5 centimeters. Exactly why they're this shape, I don't know. That was what they were in the Brer Rabbit book, and it might be that made it easier to put the wings on the hubs through, or it might be because of the way the whole thing moved. I don't know. Anyway, I just copied it because that was the only way I could make it really work. The angle, it's a triangle, so it's 60 degrees between the angles between the three holes is 60 degrees. This is another one I made. You can see the holes in the page. The distance between the centers of the holes is 8.5 centimeters. And again, the angles between them all, it's 60 degrees. And so that moves like that. And then I've made some little notes here. The distance between the center of the hubs is 8.5 centimeters. The radius of the hub holes is 0.6. The center of the top hub, this is the top hub, the center of it is 18 centimeters above the bottom of the page. So this distance is 18 centimeters. The diameter of this center hole, I've made it 5 centimeters. That's the diameter. And the center of this middle hole is 13 centimeters above the bottom of the page. And then this is where the pull strip that activates the whole thing goes. That's 1 centimeter above the bottom of the page. Okay, so I'll just put this one together for you now. So we'll take the base sheet that I've made here, cut the 3 holes for the hubs to go through. I've cut this slit with a couple of little tails back on each corner for the pull strip to go through. And so you take these 3 hubs. So the hub on the inside, the 2 tabs go down and they go through these holes in the page. So there we are, that's 1. And flatten out on the other side. The next one, push these 2 through, they go down again. You don't need the creases where they fold, you don't need them really thoroughly creased, because ideally these wings will be as flat as possible once they've gone through the holes. So I'll put that down through there. And I think that'll go. This wants to ride on top of it, so when it's moving, I think that's right. And then this one, these go down through there. Right, so that's those 3. They go above, the ends go above the next one, so it all goes like that. Those little hubs, they come up through the holes in the blue piece, so I'll put that one on. And then I'll put these ones, come up through this one. And then these ones come up through this one. Right, let's just try it. Seems to work okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's riding up there. It looks as though I've got the holes and the wings a bit misaligned here. Ideally, they'd be more like, in this one, the hole is going one way and the wings are going the other. And here I've got them both aligned, which isn't great. It does work. Let's see the other side. That's working nicely. So now we need the pull strip to actually move it. I've made the pull strip, it's 2.5 centimetres, 2.5 centimetres, and then 2.3. I've made the creases, fold them quite well. That 2.3 folds into the middle, and we'll glue that. When you're gluing these strips, it's always good to press it down on a flat surface, and that seems to help it be really flat. And turn it over and do the same. And then I'll glue the last 1/3 side down. This is the strip, 2.5 centimetres wide. The slot in the blue piece, I think that's 3. So that'll just go through there. And then that'll go through there. I've got these 2 red pieces just to block it. So we'll start with it like that, glue one on. So stick it in there. Now let's see what happens. I think the thing was, I wasn't entirely happy with this because you can see it wobbles around a bit too much. So I was thinking actually you could make the strip much longer and have a sleeve that will hold one end in place. So it just means the whole thing is that bit more steady. Now that seems to be okay. That's as far as that way that it'll go. And now you can take the other red bit and just stick it on top on the other side of that slot. Pull the whole thing through. Give it a moment to go off, and then, yeah, it should move the whole caboodle. So yeah, when you make one, you can see this, the whole thing doesn't actually move that far. And so it should be possible, I could probably even do it now actually, is just this is the other piece I made. So if the strip is 3 wide, I've just made it a couple of mil wider so it can move easily. And we'll just put a bit of glue on the underneath of that. See how far this wants to go in that direction. That's the furthest it will go in that direction. Now we can put this underneath there so that when you pull it, it's not going to pull out. And with any luck, just before I close it, let's just make sure how far it's going to go in the other direction. Yeah, that's okay. So now we can glue this down. Just fold one down, keep minimal glue on it, glue the other side down. So now you've got a sleeve that just holds the whole thing a little bit more sturdily. And so, yeah, you can see that's working quite nicely now. And then ideally, to keep everything in position, you'd actually stick some more pieces on these little wings that are sticking through the page. That would hold that down. Or you could put a whole covering sheet with just a hole in it. And the same here, ideally, you would have small pieces just stuck to the wings themselves, just holding them flat down against the page so the thing can't lift up and pull off. I know in this book there were little round bits on there, but I had to take them off to see how it worked, and somehow or other I lost them. Anyway, that's that mechanism. And now I'll look at the mechanism that was in King Arthur. So it's this one where the clouds close in and hide the Holy Grail. So here's my version over here. You pull the tab and the two coloured pieces slide into view and close the window. And if we look at how that works, this again is hubs and pivots, tutorial 27 I believe. And if we look at how it all works, you've got the pull strip, so it goes like this, and you can see they're interesting because they're moving from the two different sides. The yellow piece is moved by this bar that goes through a slot in the strip, and the red piece is moved by this pink bar attached to the pull strip. This yellow piece, it's got a hub underneath there, that's the hub which it's pivoting on, and then the bar comes down through this slot in the pull strip, so as you pull it, that makes the yellow piece move. The red piece, it's attached to the page here, and that's moved by this pink bar, which is attached to the pull strip, which makes the whole thing move. So, on we go. This is the base. This is the hole that the image is going to appear through. These are where the two hubs stick, number 1 and number 2. This is the slit that the pull strip will slide through. This is the sleeve that holds the pull strip in place. And the dimensions, the whole sheet is 21 high and 15 wide. The hole that the image appears through, the centre of it is 4 below the top and 6 from the left-hand side. The first hub is 4.5 from the top and 4 from the side. The second hub is 9 centimetres from the very top and 7 from the side. The slit that the pull strip will slide through, the bottom of it is 7 centimetres from the bottom, and the sleeve that holds the pull strip in place, the bottom of the sleeve is 7 centimetres from the bottom of the page, and the right hand side of it is 2.5 centimetres from the edge of the page. I'll start by just cutting out that hole so we're ready to start sticking the pieces together. And then the hubs, the diameter is 2.5 centimetres, and so you need 4 of these, and you fold up the wings like that, and you put glue on the main bit and stick it to the page. So here's one, stick that to the page there. I think I numbered them in the order that you stick them onto the page, but not in the order that you assemble the whole thing once they're on. There's hub 2. This is the actual pull strip. This is 2.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters, and 16 centimeters long. And this is just double thickness. So I'll glue that. Here's the whole strip, and from the end, this is the end where it's going to be pulling. The hub that's going to stick onto it, the center of the hub is 6.5 centimeters from the end. And then the slot that bar is going to go through, that's 1.5 centimeters long, and it's 9.5 centimeters from the end of the pull strip. So I'll just add this hub to that point. So the center of the hub, I've got to slightly guess that. There we are. And while I'm at it, I'll just cut that slot in the strip. This is the bar that's going to move the red piece. It's 15 centimeters long, 2 centimeters wide. I'll glue that shut. This has a hole in it which is going to go on that hub. It's 1.5 centimeters wide, and the center of it is 3 from the end. And that also has a hub attached. The center of this hub is 2 centimeters from the end. The center of this hole is 3 centimeters from the other end. So I'll just stick one of these on here. I'll just cut that slit there in the base. Stick the sleeve on. It's 3 centimeters, so the base of it is 3 centimeters. The width of this pull strip is 2.5. The width of the sleeve is 3. Then I've just got these 2 bits that will fold over and glue down. I've marked them as 2. They could be longer. There's no real reason. If anything, 2 is probably a bit short, actually. Right, that glues on there. We can now put that through there. We can close the sleeve down. Very small dab of glue on that, just to hold it shut. Don't want that oozing if we can help it. And then the first one that goes on is the yellow one. If you look at this, it's hard to actually describe. So I've written some dimensions so you can pause the video and see if you can copy this shape. From the hub's hole, that's 8 centimeters from the edge to the center. This whole width here is 5 centimeters. This is the bar that's going to fold up and go through the slot in the pull strip. That's 8. And it's 3 sections, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. So I'll just glue those 3 closed. I'll fold them first. There's a bit needs to come off there. It's not quite. Right, 1, 2, 3. A bit of glue on that one first. That first one that folds over, it might be good to just shave off maybe 1 millimeter or something, so it just folds in comfortably and doesn't block the last bit that folds over. I think I might have done that beforehand and just didn't mention it. So stick that on there, and now this should be able to go down through there. So the hub attachment order, the first one is number 2. This is number 2. So you put that down through there. Make sure that's sliding. Yeah. So you put the bar down through the slot in the pull strip, and then those wings come up through that hole and flatten out. So that should be able to make that piece now is moving. And then the second one in the gluing order, assembly order, is number 4. I believe it's this one. This end of this strip goes through there. And then number 3. So I'll hold this onto the grid again so you can get an idea of the shape. It's like this. Pause the video, have a look, see if you can copy it. Okay, and then this goes on. Number 1, this is hub number 1, goes on to, this was the first one we stuck on. So those wings go through there. And then this one goes through, swivels round and joins onto the hub on. Just make sure that's moving on that comfortably. Yeah, okay. And now this goes under there. Those two go through that one. Fiddly. One, two. Okay, now we can flatten these out. Now with any luck, this will all come together nicely. Yeah, so there you are. Don't know quite how it looks from the other side. Again, with all these things, you need to experiment with the dimensions, experiment with the shapes. Let's see what happens when we pull this one. Yeah, the red does appear. I'd like it if the red appeared for a bit longer, really. But it does work. That's this quite complicated mechanism. The master of this type of mechanism was Lothar Meggendorfer. So I've got this book here. As you move this bit on the front of the book, you can see this figure moving around. And in actual fact, this one, we've got the bull, the head and the arms. That's all one piece that is moving in a clockwise direction. And then the legs are another bit that are moving in as one moves in one direction, they move in the other direction. It's, very pleasing action, and it shows the jokey spirit, I suppose you call it. And the whole book is full of these things where you pull the tab and you get multiple movements. So you've got a duster is moving, her head is moving, and then this other person down here, their jaw is dropping. And it does actually, at the end of the book, it shows you how one works. This snooker player, that as you pull it, his foot goes back, his head goes up, the pool cue moves, this character moves his head. So they're all sort of quite small, quite subtle movements. And then you look at the back, this is how it works. It's all these curious shaped pieces. And as you pull the tab, you can see they all have their little movements. It's a bit old and stiff, this book. His hubs were actually made with bits of coiled wire. There was a piece of wire went through and it had a coil on each side that held the whole thing flat. And then now these have been made with plastic rivets. There's a hub type here, which is the type of hub I've been using. You can use this type of thing to make all sorts of different actions happen on the front of the page. Good luck.